people do you think are still alive?
In the world, not very many.
The roads are peopled by gangs looking for food.
That boy looks hungry. Why don't y'all come on the truck?
You look at him again, I'll shoot you in the head.
I don't think you killed a man in your life.
The road is fucking hard.
The road is fucking tough.
Yeah, I wouldn't sing it, I'll sing it.
Wow. Do you really have to use that language? The road.
Or the most depressing movie you may ever see in your life.
That's not true.
I don't think that's true, but it's certainly dark to the point that you're kind of like, why would you even make this?
You know what? Maybe I've just prepared for this because I think you and I were talking about it, Carlisle, and it was just such a well-made movie that it's hard for me to get depressed over it. I mean, there is a beauty in its destruction and its depressing situations.
Well, I mean, this is the thing about The Road is while everything is kind of bleak, I mean, they live in a post-apocalyptic world that is dying. Earth is done. It is the last days of the dinosaurs. We are the dead men walking.
Yeah,
Earth ain't done. We are done.
Yeah, you
done.
can survive for a while, but it's only for a little while. You're not going to make it past another few years, period.
But as bleak as it gets, it has a very human heart to it. It's a story about a son and a father walking, trying to find humanity, and this father trying to impart on his son what goodness is and what it is to be a human being, and they're trying to be the last of the good guys. They call themselves the fire keepers or the fire bearers, and they're trying to keep the light of the world alive. And there are all these great little moments of joy along this very dark, very bleak journey.
Okay, y'all make this shit sound like it's Mad Max meets The Courtship of Eddie's Father. Saying bleak is just an adjective you throw out there. This is bleak to the point where there's nothing to eat. The sky is completely gray. All the animals are dead. And what you have to look forward to is if you come across some other humans, there's a good chance they're going to rape, kill, and eat you. Yeah. And not necessarily in that order.
I can't agree with you either when you said moments of joy. I don't think there are. I think there are moments of relief.
Thank you. That's what it is. It's a huge difference. I mean, it's one of those things where you go like, wow, if you guys were to kill yourselves, no one could blame you.
Yeah, no. In
fact, I don't understand why you don't do that.
It might be the right thing to do. Now, okay, we're saying all this, and, we're just trying to make the point that this is that dark. However, just because it's dark doesn't mean it's not beautiful, because this really is just like an epic lyrical poem about non-existence, the end of everything, It's gorgeous.
Yeah, and we have two great leads who are playing the role of, and they don't have names. They're just called father and boy, and Viggo Mortensen is the father. And I mean, I think they actually locked Viggo Mortensen in a cage naked for about a month and released him, because I've never seen him broke down as much as this. I mean, it's just, he looks emaciated. I mean, it looks like he's lost weight. I mean, those circles under his eyes look real.
Yeah, and Christian Bale's like, hey.
Exactly.
Yeah. I know how they did it. What they did is they said, we're finally making this movie. You're going to be in it. It's going to be beautiful. And he said, well, it sounds like you got bad news. Yeah, it's opening against the new Twilight movie. And then I'm going to use that.
And right there on the spot, he grew a beard and just his eyes sunk in. He just withered.
It is funny that Viggo Mortensen announced that he was going to retire from acting after making this movie.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, that explains everything. Maybe they just followed him around with a real grocery cart. He didn't have anything to do. And they're like, get him right there.
It would be funny if he watched the movie afterwards and went like, ooh, if I don't have money, I could end up like that for real. Hey, Charlie, give me my next job.
Yeah, no, and his son in the movie, actor named Cody Smith McPhee. Cody Smith McGee. No, this kid is great, man. That's as his son. It's really just hard for me to get depressed over this film because, like you said, it's just a poetry to it that I just found very moving. And there's even some really rough scenes when they're with Charlize Theron, who she's just, the moment this thing happens, this apocalypse, whatever it is, I mean, she just begins to just become just soulless, and it's heartbreaking to watch.
They're gonna catch up with us, and they're going to kill us.
Whatever it takes.
Stop it.
I told you.
Stop it!
I will do anything.
Like what?
We will survive this. We are not gonna quit.
I don't want to just survive. Where'd you get it? I don't want to.
but I think this is one of her best performances
Yeah,
in years.
as small as it is.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that you have to take out of this film, you have to take it out of its context and just focus on what it is supposed to be about, which is sort of that saving grace of humanity that's still there despite all this, despite doom there. I mean, no escape, doom. It's still all too important, this bond between a father and son that's touching, nay, heartbreaking to watch, really, play itself out, and the way that the son is learning from the father, and eventually the father is learning from the son.
Yeah.
Punctuated by moments of joy.
Well,
Relief. Yeah. Ain't nothing in there that's
And-
joy.
no.
In fact, a lot of what makes it so bleak and takes away any hope of joy is that there's a big apocalypse that has ruined the world. Most people are dead, and there's no explanation as to what it was.
oh, there is. A guy wiped his ass with the earth and then dumped his ashtray on it. I mean, that's the best way to describe it.
No, it's been said outside of the book, but it's never in the book. It's
No.
never in the movie that it was, and it's alluded to that it's a comet that slammed into the earth. But they never say it. They never focus on it. The whole point is we're dying. This is it. This is all
it's
that's
the
left.
equivalent of nuclear winter. It's knocked up so much dust and particle stuff into the atmosphere that it's going to be there for a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
And humanity is doomed.
And yet, despite all this, the clear sign that there's like no chance of survival, there is something of a hope just in that there is sunshine. There's light. And where there's light, you have just that grain of light. We just don't know. Maybe if we can get to the south, just because what else have we got?
Well, in the book, I've only read half of it, and they pretty much, I think, is more depressing than this movie. This movie actually,
Really?
I
That's
think,
possible?
Yeah, it is,
Oh,
because
my God.
because this movie actually tries to give you little glimmers of hope. Like when you think that all the animals are dead, you see maybe signs of life other than humans, and there's this book. I mean, I'm sorry, this movie has a more, well, I won't say upbeat, but less sinister ending than the book. So they really try to give you some sense of hope there.
Well, there's an infamous scene in the book which crushed people. Absolutely crushed people that they were wise enough to keep out. Now, I hear that there was an early cut of the film that had it, so they probably shot it, but it's not in this one.
It might show up on the DVD.
Yeah, but this is the infamous baby eating sequence.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and that just, it's a soul-crushing sequence in the book that they've left out of the movie, and wisely so, because we get the point. Once we've run into a few cannibals, we know what's out there, and we know how far people are willing to go, and this movie doesn't try to disturb you. This movie tries to take you on a journey with this father and son.
You know, the one thing we haven't mentioned is that this is based on a book by Cormac McCarthy, who wrote No Country for Old Men, which was the big hit, previously, that we still didn't like the ending. I don't care what you guys say.
No ending for film critics.
But, naturally there was a lot of anticipation built up around this one because this was his next book as well. I mean, hell, almost everyone I know picked up the book and read it. Some of us actually finished it.
Fuck you, man.
But this is really liking the book a lot. I went into the movie not quite sure how they were even gonna make a movie of it, and yet they managed. And I think they sell a lot of that through just the gorgeous cinematography here. I mean, the camera really tells the story.
Yeah, well, unlike the book, I mean, at least from what I read, they rearranged this movie, and got to give this director his credit. I mean, he's what's his name, John Hillcoat?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the book. There's a lot of nothing going on in the beginning, and then all of a sudden everything just starts to happen, and they pace this movie well because we're making it sound like, oh, these guys are just walking with a grocery cart and just starving to death. And no, there's bits of action to break up what would appear to be this monotony. I mean, they're escaping from cannibals, they're escaping the elements. I mean,
They're escaping their own paranoia.
They're running into Robert Duvall.
Yeah, who actually had a really good cameo in the movie.
Yeah,
man.
he does.
Yeah, and it's Viggo Mortensen is so good in this, man, because this guy is trying, because of his son. I mean, no telling what he would be like if he didn't have his son, because he's trying to keep his humanity, and that humanity just becomes more chipped away as he just runs into these harsh situations and witnesses all these gruesome things. I mean, there's one scary scene in this movie. It's like a horror movie. They run to a cellar where you can tell that it's a human meat market.
Yeah.
And there's all these zombie looking people down there, and it's terrifying. I mean, they're people who we should have sympathy for, but they look terrifying.
Yeah, it looks like Wreck.
Yeah, it does. It is scary, man.
Yeah.
But by the same time, there's also some elements there that we're not going to discuss that make it even more horrifying.
Oh, yeah.
And just make that scene utterly horrific. It
That's-
doesn't
yeah.
it doesn't feel like it's stealing from somewhere else. It feels like its own distinct, dank level of hell.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful scene in that it really shows you like the depth of how bad it is. Like just when you think you know how bad it is, you see it's so much worse. And what's even worse is like not being able to do anything to help those people.
And that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, just like, it's that moment where like this is I cannot let this stand, and yet I gotta live. I gotta save my son. There's nothing I can do. I'm sorry.
And this is probably the most dramatic scene in the whole film. And what you were saying earlier, like, it's not just these two people pushing their shopping cart around. I mean, it is kind of. And yet at the same time, these characters are so well defined and their relationship with each other is so well defined and the actors are so good and the dialogue is so good that you really are rooting for them. And so it's not boring at all watching them tread around in this totally ash covered wasteland. You're becoming as desperate as they are, just reaching for every tiny little shred of hope, going, maybe this will be it. Oh, this could save them.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. I was rooting for them to find some ammo so they could just kill themselves.
Oh, Jesus.
You might be a little more cynical than us.
Well, I just have to say, like, the movie's depressing. You really have to brace yourself for that. I mean, people just have to kind of just keep telling you that over and over. You're going to go see the movie. So that when you get in there, because that's what I was told over and over again. This is so bad and depressing. It's so bad. And when I got in there, I was like, I was so prepped for it that I was able to see the beauty of the film. I mean, there's scenes where trees are falling, and somehow this director is able to make trees that are just dying and falling to the ground seem really beautiful. And for that, I mean, I gotta give the movie a full price. I think it's a strong Oscar contender this year, and I really enjoyed it. Maybe I just have a morbid love for the apocalypse too. I don't know.
I couldn't agree more. I think this is a full price film. Absolutely. Just because it's depressing doesn't mean it can't be great. There's certainly no end of art that's very dark that's still wonderful. Yeah.
Well, yeah, clearly this is the year for end of the world comedies. I mean, last week we had 2012, and now we got The Road. I agree with you guys. I mean, I don't think this movie is for everyone, and I hope everybody who does go see it knows ahead of time that this is going to be one of the most darkest, depressing movies you're ever going to see. So they are braced and prepared, because otherwise, man, you are walking into a shitstorm. But for a movie that should be slow and so depressing you don't want to see it, it's really well done, and I say full price also.
Yeah,
it's heavy, it's gorgeous, it's wonderful. It is absolutely one of the most important post-apocalyptic films ever made. Most people feel that
next to Waterworld. Come on, let's be fair.
There's some great stuff from the 70s. Still, A Boy and His Dog is really great and really satirical, and No Blade of Grass, things like that. I'm not going to say it's the most important post-apocalyptic film ever made, which is one of the toughest words to get out in a review. But I will say it is up there as one of the most important.
Yeah, I agree.
It is a fantastic, well-made film that any genre fan owes to themselves to check out.
You still do kind of want to see a sequel to this where, they find this huge stash of guns and they go on this rampage and they find dinosaurs and they strap the guns to their side and they kill all the cannibals.
It's called Zombieland Road.
Awesome.
It's called creationism. No,
what? That doesn't even follow.
Yeah, I won't explain. No, and I know you can relate. I mean, maybe I didn't find the movie as depressing because I know if it had been me and my dad on the road, we would have killed each other. We wouldn't have got a block down the street. Would you stop pushing that cart into my fucking leg? Fuck you, Dad. Yeah, my dad and I would have ate each other.
Look at each other like hamburgers and hot dogs.
Would have been, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like a Looney Tunes. My dad and I would have been looking at each other. We turned to hot dogs and hamburgers. Yeah.
So, Dad.
So this is the black version of The Road called The Street.
That's actually pretty good. It'd be like Sanford and Son.
Yeah, exactly.
Pushing that cart. Dun, 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 dun,
Just going from one bombed out Popeyes to the next.
Damn it! There's no chicken left anywhere on this planet.
Another empty Popeyes, you big dummy.
You have to keep carrying the fire.
What fire?
Fire inside you.